All right, and good day, everyone, and welcome to today's session of Truly Foundation and A Course in Miracles. My name is Oliver, and I am delighted to be here with you as your temporary host, guide, coach, guru, friend, reminder, and I'm so happy to be here. And I extend only love to you in this moment. I teach only love. I know that love is all there is because there's only, in reality, there's only oneness, and that oneness is God, and that oneness expresses itself as love. That oneness expressed itself when God extended his very own essence, his very own nature. God extended everything that it is. And when that extension was complete, God said, what? This is very good. This is my only creation. Why? Because I've given everything in this creation. And I'm not separate and apart from this creation, but this creation is me, and I am the creation. And he named it, he said, or it said, I am. When asked about the creation, he said, I am that I am. And that which he looked upon, that which was created, that which was extended before the world was formed, before there was any time and space, before there was any matter, before there was any form. This perfect creation that was extended from the one source became one with that source. And God said, it is the I am that I am. And it is very good. It is the one self. It is the one life. It's the one being in reality that exists. And so this is our creation. This is our reality. This is who we are. This is what we are. We are the very extension of life itself that can never be separate from its source. We can never. This brings me so much joy. This is really what brings me joy in life. In times of seeming despair, in times of seeming challenges, in time when it seemed like the world has forgotten who it is. And we see all of the unloving acts that continue to happen. It is in those moments that I remember that I remain as God created me. I remember that all humanity remains as God created humanity. And it's not necessarily humanity, but what God created, reality, which is now reflected through humanity. And it's in those times that I remember who I am, my oneness with God, the love that I am, the love that we all share, the one being, the one self, that is the only reality. And it helps me to maintain the peace. It helps me to maintain the joy and the happiness that we all share. It helps me to look on devastation and look past it, because I understand that it is not reality. It is not the will of God, and it's not reality. It's a temporary experience that happens in a world of dream and a belief in separation. It is not the real. It is not the real deal. The real deal, it doesn't come through physical observation. But we're reminded that the real deal, which the Course called the kingdom, which Course called reality, which the Course calls love, which the Course calls knowledge and truth. The real truth does not come with observation, but the real truth is who we are. The real you is an infinite. That means there's no beginning and end to you. The real you is an impersonal self. Our personal history is not who we are. It's just the experience that we've had. So that who we are is really, we are impersonal. Even though there's now over 8 billion people on the planet, and it still seems like there's 8 billion personal selves, but in reality, there's only the one self. And it's not a personal self, but it's the same self that God is. It's the same life that God is. It's the same being that God is. It is the same love that God shared and extended in eternity, and said to himself, "This is my beloved creation. This is my beloved family. This is my beloved offspring, in whom I'm well pleased." And it remains that way. That's why I love the scripture in Ephesians chapter 1, where the writer says that even before the foundation of the world, even before there was even an idea of a separated world with separated beings and all the multiplicity that's in this world, he said, before even that idea entered into the mind, he said God had already created us and had already placed within us his very own holiness so that we would be holy. He had placed within us his very own innocence so that we would be holy and without blame before our Creator in love. And then the writer went on to say in Romans that nothing, absolutely positively nothing, can separate us from that love. Nothing. So nothing that has taken place from the beginning of time, nothing, no activity, no event, no feeling, no sensation, no thought, no reasoning, no imagining, no illusion, no dream, no fantasy, no hallucination, no heights, no death, no things present, nor things to come. Nothing can absolutely, nothing at all can separate us from the love of God that we are. So so it is true. It is true. We remain as God created us. We are to the praise of his glory. And we just have to remind ourselves day in, day out, moment by moment, because the residual effect of our belief in separation still lingers, and we have to remind ourselves in every moment where we're challenged to have a view of ourselves or a self-image of ourselves that is not true about us. For a long time, we have promoted the idea that there was something still needed to be done to put us in right standing with the loving Father. But there's nothing to be done. All has been done. The work has been finished. That's what Jesus meant when he said, "It is finished." He wasn't talking about his life, but what he was talking about is the illusion. What he was talking about was the belief in sin, guilt, and fear. had been dealt with on our level, on the level of the dream. Jesus came into this dream of separation as a man, just like we're in the dream as a man. Came down to the level that we thought we were, entered into the dream, and showed us and proved to us and demonstrated the love of God. He showed us and proved to us that this world is not real. And his final proof of that was that he proved to humanity that death is not real. Why did he go to that extent? Why? Because it is the fear of death that still seemingly haunts humanity. It's the fear that we are not eternal beings. It is the fear that we hold on to the illusion of our body identification, that we are these bodies. But all that was dealt with, all the whole idea, the tiny mad idea of separation was dealt with. And now one by one, we make that decision to wake up to the truth of our reality. And the good news is that God has guaranteed that each and every one of us will wake up and return home at last. And in that return, we come to find out that we had never left home. It was all a dream. It was all an illusion. It was all a fantasy. It was all a vain imagining. But that we remain as God created us. We remain as the very holy home of God. That we've never been separated from a loving Father. That our Father has never looked upon us as anything different than what he created. This whole story, this whole idea of an angry God, or a God that is punitive, and a God that dislike what he created and dislike a man's act to the point that he required a sacrifice. All of that, all those stories, all those ideas that we created, we can lay all that aside. We can release all of that and understand the truth that is been true always, that we have never, ever, and can never, ever be separated from our source, from our creator. We can never be separate. We can never be changed or altered from what God created. So it is true. We are holy. It is true that you are blameless, that you are innocent, you are complete, with nothing missing and with nothing broken, because God gave us everything in creation, and it remains intact. God guarantees it, that all of us will come to have that direct experience, and we don't have to wait, because there's only this present moment, there's only this holy instant. And so in this holy instant, we stand right here in this moment together, you and I, and all of creation in this holy instant. The psalmist said it is in this holy instant, or it is in the presence. It is in God's presence. It is in the presence of love. There's fullness of joy. Joy is only in this present moment. Love is only in this present moment. Peace and happiness, fulfillment, contentment, purposefulness, it only exists in this present moment, because that is the only moment that there is. Time and space is not real. It's temporary. It's an illusion. There's only eternity. So eternity is right now. Eternity is not something in the future, but eternity is always right now. This whole complete instant right now. We are in eternity right now. And so it is this holy instant that we make a bold declaration today that as our Creator is, as God is, as love is, as our Creator is, as God is, as love is, so are we right now in this world. As He is, so are we right now in this world. And so it was all a dream of going prodigal. It was all a dream of leaving the Eden. It was all a dream of being separate and alienated from God. All this happened in a mind that appeared to go prodigal. All this happened in a mind that went off on its own to think contrary to the thoughts of God. But in reality, nothing happened. In reality, you remain as God created you. I'll say that until I can't say it anymore. This is who we are. This is our reality. And so today we're going to look at Workbook Lesson 241. Thank you for obliging me. And in today's lesson, here it is again another reminder that there's only this moment. There's only this present moment. There's only the present moment. And we're here today to remove the blocks to the awareness that love is present right now, right here in this moment. And that we are united with love, that we are one with love, regardless of what may be going on in your life, regardless of what you may be thinking, regardless of what may be going on in the world, what kind of bad news of tragedy and what kind of news of unloving acts that you might have confronted this morning, regardless of how the thoughts that you may have awakened to this morning. It's not the truth. The truth is we are at home in God. The illusion is we dream of being on a journey in a world of separation, in a world that is so divided and so at odds with each other. But it's not our reality. It is not reality. And so we're here to remind each other today. In Workbook Lesson 241, it's the idea for today is this holy instant. This holy instant. See, every tick in time is still the holy instant. So we're always in the present moment because that's all there is. Beyond this physical, illusionary world where there is no time, in heaven, there is no time. There's only each and every moment is one moment, and it's filled with the fullness of God. It's filled with the fullness of love and happiness and joy and peace. And we access that now as we remember the reality, as we talked about yesterday, what is real versus what is not real. Like we said, that awakening, enlightenment is but a recognition of what is real. And so we, in this moment, collectively, we unite and attest to, in this moment is the only moment there is. We call it the holy instant. And every time the clock appears to tick in time, it becomes still the holy instant. So we're always in the present moment. There's nothing like the present moment. The past is gone. That means it doesn't exist. The future, we can't live forward. That means it's not present. The only thing is present is this moment right here. The only thing that matters is this moment right here. All of the events and activities, all of the relationships, all of the sensations, all of the events, all of the your whole timeline, everything that you have experienced in this physical world that was in the past, it doesn't exist anymore. The future that you may be having anxiety about, you can't live forward. You can only be in the moment. So the future that we have anxiety about, that we worry about, that we're concerned about, whether there's going to be enough, whether we're going to be protected, whether we're going to be provided for and supported. Those are all doubts and all worries that the separated mind, the ego mind, would try to get you to stay focused on, to keep you out of the presence. Because why? The ego only can exist when we give our energy, when we give our focus and attention to something that is that's not even real. The past is gone. The future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is now. And so when we stay present in the present moment, with our minds stayed on truth and on reality, therein lies the perfect peace that we so desire. Therein lies the peace. When we turn our mind to those things that are lovely, those things that are pure, those things that are just, those things that are praiseworthy. And what are those things? Our true identity, who we are, our guiltless, our sinless, our divine, our infinite, our self-aware self. That is where our peace lies. It doesn't lie anywhere else. It's not out there. It's not in a mind that continue to be guilty about the past. It doesn't happen in a mind that is so frantic about the future. But it only happens in this present moment. And in this present moment, it is the mind of God that is filled with joy. And it says what? The writer says, and pleasures forevermore in the moment. And we call it the holy instant. And so today's thought is, this holy instant is salvation come. This holy instant, we can read it this way, because remember, we said on yesterday that salvation and happiness are synonymous. God's will for us is our happiness. God's will for us is happiness. God's will for us is salvation. They're one and the same. Happiness is an aspect of salvation. Salvation is an aspect of happiness. They're two sides of the same coin. And so it is the will of God that in every moment that we are aware that our happiness, we are aware that salvation is present in this present instant. It ain't something in the future. It's not something in the future. It's not it's not in the guilt of the past, or it's not in the repayment of a past deed or act. That's not where happiness is. Happiness is only in this holy instant. It's only in reality. And that today's idea is that this holy instant is salvation come in this moment. While we're here, you and I, in this moment, talking, conversing. Happiness is here. It's not in the worry of the future. It's not in the doubt of the future. It's not in the guilt of the past. But it's in this moment. In this moment, reality is what is present. Love is what is present. Love is what we can experience right now. Don't need any help from anything outside of us. Why? Because we are love. The real you loves you because the real you is love. And when we embrace that, when we accept that, when we unite with that reality, that one thought, it only takes that one thought to remove all doubt and fears, to pull down any stronghold of allegiance to anything other than the truth that is true always. That one thought. The real you is love. I am love. That's why Jesus always said what he knew was the truth. He said, I and my Father, I and love are one. He said, when you've seen me in every instant, I am united with my Father. When you've seen me, you have seen the Father. When you've seen me, you have seen love, because I am love. I remain as God created me. He held that mind, that idea, those thoughts in mind each and every moment. And it was the holding of those realities. He willed those realities and those thoughts. That's the mind of Christ. He understood that in those thoughts was only equality, that he had equality with God, as Philippians 2:5-6 says. That he let that mind be in him. He let those thoughts of God dominate his thinking. That he didn't think he was taking anything from God by saying he and God was one. He didn't think he was taking away anything from God by saying, when you seen me, you seen the Father. He didn't think he was taking anything away from God when he said, I'm here to do the will of God, to do God's will. And likewise, it is our turn here in 2022 to walk in and demonstrate and to share and extend this mind of Christ, where we embrace for ourselves the reality that we have equality with our Father. Meaning we share the same love. It only means we share the same love. There's only one love. That only means equality with God. It only means that we share the same life. There's only one life. It only means that there's only one self or one being. There's not really many beings, as this world will try to teach you. There's only the one being. There's only oneness. And so when we embrace that reality for ourselves, that's what equality means. That there's God and there's nothing else. And so we know we exist, we know we are conscious, and we know that we are aware. So if we know that we are aware and conscious, we know that we are alive, we know we are ourselves, and that self and that consciousness and that awareness has to be the same awareness and consciousness that God is, not something separate. God has not given us something separate. In creation, God gave us his very own self, his very own being, his very own life, his very own mind. There is not a separate mind. There is not a lower mind. That mind that thinks of itself as separate, that mind that thinks of itself as inferior to God and to others, that mind that is afraid of others and afraid of God, that thought that is afraid of the guilt of the past or the punishment of the future, that there is a punishment for the future, that thought, that that idea that tried to gain our allegiance, keep our attention. That's just an ego mind that needs healing. That is the mind that needs to be healed. And that's what we're doing in this whole process. It's bringing that seemingly prodigal mind back into the fold of love. That's why Paul said that it's important that we release ourselves from this world. Be not conformed to this world, or this world way of thinking, or the world's system of thinking. He said, but be transformed by the renewing. That means that the mind was always, the mind of God has not changed its original state, its original habitat of love. But because we fell into a trance and gave our allegiance to an idea that was false, a false idea, like we said yesterday, a false perception. We are going through this process of releasing that false identity, that false self, and being transformed by the renewing of the mind to bring the mind back into what? The fold of love. That's what these exercises are about. That's what these lessons are about. We're not coming out here and sharing these ideas and these lessons and going through this entire process without a purpose. But our purpose is that the mind be healed. Our purpose is that that we embrace our true identity as holy and without blame and innocent and one with our Father. Our purpose is to release all ideas of a separated self. Our purpose is for us to understand that our function in this world is to be the light of the world. Is to allow the demonstration of this reality of love that we are to shine through us. Our purpose is to understand that forgiveness, the Jesus kind of forgiveness, the brand of forgiveness that the Course teaches, where we realize that what we thought was done with us, it never occurred. It was all in a dream. What we thought our brother did, how we thought we was abused or unfairly treated, to that personal self, that vulnerable personal self, in reality, it did not occur. What occurs in dream is not reality. What occurs in dreams is not real. We already know that. And so now that we stand in this holy instant, in this place of our true identity, our true self, realizing that we're one with God, we're one with all living things, we're one with all humanity, we realize that nothing has occurred, that we remain as God created us. And so we're able to what? Forgive the world for what we thought it done to us. We were able to forgive the world for the attacks that we thought we were under. We are able to now forgive the world and no longer stand in a place of being a victim. We're not victims of the world that we had saw in the past. We're not victims. We're not vulnerable. We're not these temporal bodies. But we are the very expression of love itself. And that our love is always shining. Who we are is always shining, always seeking to extend and express itself. And so this holy instant is this love, is this salvation. This holy instant is our happiness present. We remove all the blocks that was blocking our view to see that love is present, that happiness and joy and peace and contentment and fulfillment and a life of purpose, deep purpose, good meaning. It was always present. It is always present. We're filled with the fullness of God right now. As God is, so are we right now in this world. So we don't look for a future. There is no future. We don't hold on to a past. It does not exist. Now, faith is. That's why it says in Hebrews that now is our confidence. And so we become the substance of things that we had hoped for, and we have become the evidence of the thing that we couldn't see. We couldn't see ourselves. We didn't know ourselves, but we have now become the substance and the evidence of that as we demonstrate this love, as we share this love with all humanity, as we forgive the world and let the world go free. We loose the world from its illusion. Now are we the sons of God. Now are we the creation of God. The world that groans and travail for the manifestation of the creation of God. We are here and we release the world. We release the earth. We release all things. We release all illusions. We release all the ego thought system. And we say the kingdom has come because we are the kingdom. We say the will of God is being done because God has done a finished work in us. On earth as it is in heaven. Heaven and earth has become one. There's no separation. All has been reconciled back to God. That was Jesus's demonstration of love. Paul said that God was reconciling the entire world back to himself. That what the demonstration of Jesus' love was about. It was not a payment. God don't require no payment because what? We haven't, from God's perspective, nothing has happened. But in the world where we thought there was a payment required, Jesus said, okay, I'll come. I'll come in the volume of all of the books. I'll come in the volume of all of the laws. I'll take everything that you guys said was required. He said, okay, I'll take all of that. He consumed all of the dreams, all of the hallucinations, all of the ideas that we were separate from God. He assumed, he said, I'll assume it all. And he proved that what? It was nothing. It was all an illusion. It couldn't hold him. It couldn't deny him the reality of who he was. And neither can it do you. Now it's your turn. Now it's our turn. What are we doing with it? Are we allowing love, perfect love, to cast out all the illusions of fear? Are we allowing love to have its perfect work within us? Are we allowing forgiveness to open up the doors and release all those that are imprisoned in their minds? Are we doing that? Or are we playing religion? You'll know, because the peace that passes all understanding is in this holy instant, is in this what? Present moment, is in reality. And so when we're not holding, when we're waning from this reality, we know it because we sense the peace. There's a sense. Notice now, peace hasn't gone anywhere. God hasn't gone anywhere. Nothing has changed. It's just an indication in that moment that we are afraid of love. But in that instant, we remind ourselves of who we are. And the fear is gone. It was an illusion anyway. And so this holy instant, salvation is come. Is come, meaning it is now. Your holiness is now. Your innocence is now. Your reality is now. Your deliverance is now. Your freedom is right now. It doesn't come at the end of you doing something or something happening out there. No, it is right now. And so, what does the lesson say? What joy there is today. You see, joy only comes as we embrace and accept the reality that God has created us. And God is the sustainer of our life. God, the one that placed the value on us, it doesn't come from anywhere else. That God is our very life. And when we embrace that, when we accept that, when we fellowship with that, and then when we share it, it says this joy that is a part of our nature, this joy that is a aspect of our love. He said, the joy, he said, what joy there is today. What joy. It said, it is a time of special celebration right now, this day, this moment, because that's the only moment it is. Nothing else, nothing else matters. Hang on a second. Let me say this again. Nothing else matters but right now. Jesus says, what? Do this in remembrance of me. This is what we're doing. Not in remembrance of Jesus as an individual personal self, but in remembrance of what he represented. He represents who we are. He represents freedom, complete joy and happiness. So in this moment, he says, in this moment, there is fullness of joy. In the presence, there's fullness of joy, as the psalmist said. He said, it is a time of celebration. For today holds out the instant to the darkest. All right, let me say this again. For today holds out the instant to the darkened world where its release is set. in this whole holy instant right now, we release the world. We forgive the world. We forgive the idea of separation. We forgive the idea of not being one with each other and being one with God. That's the darkened world, where the darkened world is this idea that we're separate from one another and we're separate from God. That's a darkened idea. He said, but we release that today. Why? Because today is full of joy. It's a time of special celebration. It says, the day has come when sorrows passed away and pain is gone. Why is that? It says, the glory of our happiness, the glory of salvation, it has dawned today upon a world that is set free. Because now that we are seeing through the mind of Christ, now that we are perceiving through the mind of God, we let the world go free. There is no punishment. There's no payment to be made. We let go of the idea of an unloving father. We let go of the idea that we have done something wrong, and the whole world goes free. And if you hear a voice that say, no, can't let it go free, it needs to be punished. This person needs to be punished. This nation needs to be punished. This community needs to be punished. This particular group needs to be punished. If that's your response to all the world go free, then that's an indication that you're still holding on to an ego idea. You're still holding on to fear and guilt. Let it go. And we can only let it go in this present moment. We can't go back and fix anything in the past because it doesn't exist. We can't do the future because the future is not here. We can only do present. We can only do this holy instant. And in this holy instant, we see the glory of God. We see the glory and the oneness that we share with God and each other. And so today is a day of joy and celebration. We have let go these darkened ideas that we were holding in our minds about ourselves, about our Father, and about each other. He said, today we let go all sorrows and all pain. Why? Because we embrace in this moment the oneness that we share, the joy and the peace and the love that we share. It says the glory of salvation dawns today upon a world set free. This is the time of hope for countless millions. We're declaring in this moment that this is the time for hope for countless millions in a world where there appears to be no hope, where there appears to still see where it appears that hatred is still king, where love has lost its power, where the light is dark. It says, this is the time of hope for countless millions. In the midst of all that may be appearing, all that may be happening in your life, in the world, in your community, in the midst of this, in this holy instant, it says, this is the time of hope. Because what? We see the light. We see the truth. And we're no longer in fear or trepidation or anxiety over the future. We're no longer guilty about the past. But we're what? We're in this holy moment, holy presence, in our holy home with God. We have awakened to the reality. We see the real world. We are in eternity now. As God is in his brightest glory, so are we in this world right now. And so it says, they will unite now. They will unite now. Millions today, in this moment, will unite as we forgive them all. So it is through our forgiveness that the world goes free. It is through our forgiveness that salvation comes to many, to millions, as it says. It is in our forgiveness that our relationships our associations. It is in our forgiveness that even the physical world that seems to be groaning and travailing is set free through our forgiveness. Through the fact that we realize that there's God and there's nothing else. And that all that's happening in this temporary world, all that's happening in this world that appears to be so divided and so separate, all of that is coming to an end. It's all eventually disappearing when the light has come. And the light has come right now in your life, in my life. And so we release the world. We release ourselves. There's nothing to judge. We release all humanity, even those that may still be in a state of sleep, a state of fear, a state of seeing themselves other than how they were created. They are free. They are forgiven. For we will be forgiven. And all the world is forgiven by our forgiveness right now in this holy instant. So all the world, from our perspective, has been released from its own fears, from its own imprisonment. And so, this is our prayer to end our lesson today. This is our declaration. We have forgiven one another now, right now. So we hold no grievances against ourselves, against God, against humanity, against any living thing. We completely let it go. Because we realized that was our only way out. Jesus demonstrated that. He put that on display when he was in his most vulnerable state, when he could have been justified in condemning the world, but he didn't condemn the world. Jesus said what? Father, I forgive them, for they know not what they do. And in his forgiveness, he made them aware that they have been justified, that they have been glorified. And that can never be a threat. It can never be attacked, that all was well. And so it's our time when it feels like or seems like we can hold grievances, or we may hold this or that in contempt. No, this is the time of forgiveness. Why? Because it's all an illusion. It's not real. Nothing has happened. Nothing has occurred. And so we let the world go free. Just like our Father, he showed us, let the world go free. Just like our brother, Jesus showed us, let the world go free. Let your neighbor go free. Why? Because in that lies your freedom, because you and your neighbor are one and the same. You and your God are one and the same. All living things are one and the same. We share the one living thing, the one being, the one self. Would you judge yourself? Would you condemn yourself? No, you let yourself go free. And so we let the world go free. So we have forgiven one another now. And so we come at last in this holy instant, Father and Son, creation and creator, declaring our oneness. So Father, here we are as your creation, who never left. See, we never left. Nothing really changed. We just fell asleep, fell in a trance. We return to heaven. We have returned home. We have returned home. A home that we've really never left. We've always been home. You've always been in the heart of God. You've always been in the beloved of God. It was only in dream that you experienced an idea of separation. But we have come home. We have awakened from the dream. That's what Paul meant when he said, awake to righteousness and no longer see yourself as separate. No longer see yourself as a sinner, because you're not. It's impossible. We cannot change what God originally did. We can't change our original self. We can only experience that outside through a dreamlike state. But we have awakened from the dream. We have awakened to righteousness. And we have forgiven the world. We have forgiven ourselves. And now we laugh at the tiny mad idea of separation. We laugh at the idea that we can be changed or altered. We laugh at the idea of sacrifice. We laugh at the idea that we have something missing and something broken. We laugh at those ideas now. We laugh at the idea of death and sickness and disease and pain and suffering. We can look on it in the dream and not be devastated because we know it's not real. He says, Father, we say, Father, your creation, your Son, who never left, returned to heaven and his home. How glad are we to have our sanity restored to us. How glad we are, how happy, how rejoicing we are in this holy instant to know that our sanity has been restored to us. And sanity can only be restored through the truth that is true always. Sanity can only be restored to us embracing, letting go of that which is not real and embracing that which is real, embracing our true identity, and embracing the reality that we are indeed the love offsprings of a loving creator. We embrace the reality that we are infinite beings, that we always been. There is no beginning and end to us. That we are aware, that we are self-aware beings. And as God is, so are we right now in this moment. And that is our restoration. That is our sanity. That is our healing. And so it's been restored in this instant. And to remember that we are all one. The remembrance that we all share the same life, the same being. It's only one self, and we share that. We are the one creation of God. We share the very essence and nature of God, which is love. Love is what we are. The real you that loves you, because the real you is love. We remember this. This is the oneness that we share. This is the glory of God. This is the freedom that we were all seeking. This is the awakening that had always been present. And now that we have removed the blocks of illusions, now that we have removed the block of a false self and false perception, and now we can see clearly now. The rain has gone. The reign of illusion, the reign of self-deception has gone. It has disappeared. Why? Because the light has come. And we are that light, that one light that's always shining brightly. We see ourselves this way. We experience ourselves this way. We experience all humanity this way now, because we are the light of the world. So it is the remembrance of our oneness that makes this holy instant full of joy and peace and happiness and fulfillment and contentment. It is this awakened consciousness, this Christ consciousness, this God mind that has been awakened in us through the remembrance of who we are, that we are one. So it is in this holy instant that our happiness, our salvation is come now, presently. And so from today's lesson, we're going to go out into the world in peace, carrying out our banner of freedom. We're going to hold fast to the goodness, to that which is good. What is good? Our creation. God said it's very good. So we're going to go out into the world in peace. We're going to hold on to the goodness of our creation. And we're going to render to no man evil for evil, but love for love. While we're out there, we're going to strengthen the faint in heart, those that are struggling, those that are in dismay, those that are brokenhearted, those that don't see the light that they are. We're going to help those that are afflicted in their minds. That's where affliction occurs, in the mind, in their thinking. Help the afflicted. We're going to honor all men. We're going to extend the honor that they are. We're going to namaste them and recognize the divinity that is in them is the same divinity that is in us. We're going to extend to them love, forgiveness. We're going to support those that may be weak in this moment. How do we support them? How do you support the weak? We support the weak by being strong. We support the weak by reaching out in whatever form that they may need in that moment, and we be that form for them. And we're going to love and we're going to serve one another. Why? Because today is today of celebration. We're celebrating in every moment the truth of who we are and honoring humanity with the honor that comes from God only. And so we honor them by looking past their illusions, looking past their error of faults. And we see the light that is within them. We forgive them. And it's through our forgiveness that a space is open in their own mind to say yes to the reality of who they are. This holy instant is our happiness. This holy instant. And in every instant, in every tick of time, we're in the holy instant. It's like one big day. See, in heaven, in reality, there's not hours and days and weeks and months and years. There's only the presence. And in that present, there's fullness. In that present, God has poured everything in every present moment. And we just remind ourselves. We remind ourselves in each and every moment of who we really are. We remind our brother of who they are. This is the will of God. This is our very own will. Thank you so much. This was Workbook Lesson 241. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I know you will. Because this is your day of celebration. This is your day of rejoicing. This is your day of happiness. This is your day. This is your moment. This is your instant. Stand in that. Have a great day. Bye-bye.